The planet Oceanus 9 is officially recognized as the most terrifying place in the known galaxy because its surface is entirely covered by a kilometer-deep layer of black, freezing water. Right here at the bottom of a massive underwater trench, the deep-sea mining station Abyss 7 abruptly lost all communication, trapping 40 researchers. The rescue team, led by Captain Alex Craig, arrived expecting to find a technical failure, flooded compartments, or a broken generator. However, what they discovered inside the central airlock instantly plunged the Marines into a state of deep, paralyzing shock. All 40 employees had not died from suffocation, but had literally fused their bodies together into a colossal, slowly pulsating bioluminescent coral. This nightmarish growth of living flesh occupied the entire main hall, shimmering with toxic blue lights in the pitch-black darkness. Eerie, motionless masks were frozen where human faces once were, yet vital monitors indicated this unified organism was completely alive. The rescuers stood rooted to the spot, unable to move from terror, when this glowing biomass suddenly trembled. From the depths of the living coral came a quiet, painfully familiar sound that left Alex utterly speechless. From the speakers of Alex's spacesuit came a quiet, broken breath, and then a soft, velvet voice spoke his name. This voice belonged to Helen, his beloved wife, who tragically died 3 years ago during an expedition on distant Earth. The man felt his heart skip a beat, and his past life flashed before his eyes, full of warm smiles and evening conversations. It was absolutely impossible, contradicting all laws of physics, but the intonations, the subtle vibrations of speech, and even the habit of pausing were completely identical to his late spouse. Alex took a step forward, as if spellbound, forgetting safety instructions and the shouts of his subordinates in his headset. His loyal co-pilot Mira, who had secretly loved Alex for a long time, firmly grabbed his armored shoulder to hold him back. There had always been a strong, invisible chemistry between them, woven from shared dangers, caring glances, and silent support. Mira looked at him through her helmet visor with eyes full of sincere anxiety, pleading not to succumb to this delusion. However, Alex just shook his head, unable to tear his gaze away from the pulsating monster. "Alex, please help us. We are so cold down here in the dark." The gentle voice of Helen continued to resonate from the biomass, vibrating on the edge of tears. The entity inside the coral seemed to pluck the deepest strings of his soul, forcing him to remember their last goodbye. The voice begged the rescuers to lift the central core to the surface, claiming that only under the sun's rays could the colonists break free. Each word was filled with such sincere pain that even the sternest Marines began to lower their heavy rifles. Alex felt hot tears rolling down his cheeks, washing away his protective shell of professional detachment. Destiny seemed to grant him an incredible chance to fix a past mistake and return the woman he mourned every night. Noticing his weakness, Mira simply pressed her helmet gently against his shoulder, sharing her warmth. This simple gesture of pure care returned a fraction of self-control to Alex, though his heart still tore apart between duty and a mad belief in a miracle. Overwhelmed, he ordered his squad to prepare the coral for transportation, hoping for the salvation of these souls. To lift such a massive biological structure, the rescuers needed to descend to the lowest technical level of the station, where heavy hydraulic clamps were located. As the group moved deeper into the flooded complex, the atmosphere became increasingly oppressive, and the radiance of the coral seeped through cracks, casting frightening shadows on the walls. Mira walked shoulder to shoulder with Alex, monitoring instrument readings and constantly throwing silent glances full of warmth at him. She saw how hard every step was for him, how his hands shook while holding the welding tool, and how deeply he was locked inside his illusion. Her own heart ached, understanding this false hope could destroy them all. But her love was too deep to simply turn away. Mira carefully touched her glove with her palm, transmitting a quiet, soothing signal through the internal channel, which made the commander slow his pace and take a deep breath. This silent dialogue, full of sincere sacrifice and absolute trust, kept their small team from panicking amidst the growing nightmare of the underwater world, which slowly tightened its icy grip around their fragile human lives. When they reached the lower control terminal, Helen's voice sounded again, becoming clearer and frighteningly close. She talked softly about how they would return home together, walking on green grass under a real sun, forgetting the eternal darkness of the ocean. These simple words evoked pictures of quiet human happiness in Alex's mind, forcing him to believe this nightmare would soon end. The man obediently entered the unlock codes for the hydraulic locks, feeling a fragile but strong hope for a miraculous rescue blossoming within his soul. Every squad engineer worked at the limit of their capabilities, connecting heavy cables to the pulsating biomass, which now seemed like a warm cradle for a new form of life. Mira stood nearby, controlling the pressure parameters in the compartment, her hand constantly resting on the handle of her plasma cutter. She did not share the euphoria. Her professional instinct screamed about impending danger, but her respect for the commander's feelings forced her to remain silent. This quiet care and unwavering readiness to follow him to the very end created a surprisingly strong emotional field between them, inspiring faith in a successful outcome to this dangerous mission. However, the illusion of salvation melted instantly when the onboard computer decrypted the damaged logs of the black box. The terminal screen flashed red, displaying a terrible truth that made blood freeze in the rescuers' veins. Internal sensors showed the colonists' cells had not evolved, but were undergoing an excruciating process of chemical digestion. This gigantic coral was not a new form of life. It was an ancient deep-sea predator lurking at the bottom of Oceanus 9 for millions of years. The creature possessed the unique ability to read its victims' memories, using their voices to attract new prey. Helen's pleading voice was nothing more than a cunning trap set by this ruthless monster. The realization crashed down on Alex with a devastating blow, instantly throwing him from bright hope into the abyss of chilling despair. He understood he had been cruelly deceived, his most cherished feeling weaponized to lure his squad into a deadly snare. The coral rapidly began to mutate, its soft glow turning into a sinister crimson fire, and the walls shuddered from a massive strike. The illusion collapsed, leaving the people entirely alone with this awakened primal horror. As soon as the secret was revealed, Helen's voice changed, transforming into a distorted demonic roar that made the helmet speakers crackle. The bioluminescent outgrowths rapidly mutated into muscular tentacles, which began to crush the metal walls, blocking the escape routes. Sharp fragments of steel rained down, and one massive beam flew straight toward the stunned commander, who had lost all will to fight. In this critical moment, Mira demonstrated true sacrifice. She pushed Alex aside, taking the terrible impact of the steel beam upon herself. Her suit cracked, and she fell to the floor, breathing heavily from unbearable pain. Alex instantly came to his senses. The agonizing horror of losing a loved one struck his mind again. But this time, it was the living, real Mira who had saved him. He rushed to her side, gently lifting her head. Through her shattered visor, he saw her loving, devoted eyes, devoid of fear. This dramatic moment forced him to realize that true love and care were right here, beside him. For this, it was worth fighting until the very last breath. He hugged her tightly, swearing he would never allow such a tragedy again. The ancient predator, feeling its prey slipping away, howled louder. Its giant tentacles began to tighten around the rescuers, trying to crush their suits. Alex, overcoming despair, picked up his assault rifle and opened continuous fire at the glowing nodes of the monster, covering the retreating survivors. He acted decisively, guided by a pure desire to protect Mira, who could barely stand due to her injury. The commander scooped the wounded girl into his arms, pressing her against his chest, feeling her steady heartbeat, which became his beacon in this chaos. Other fighters provided a dense curtain of fire, burning the advancing biomass with plasma, which hissed and sprayed toxic liquid. The situation seemed critical, and chances of salvation were rapidly melting away as the station was quickly filling with freezing seawater from the breached locks. But there was no more fear in Alex's eyes. His will had hardened, and his heart beat in unison with Mira's, granting him incredible strength for a final dash toward the rescue airlock. They broke through the debris, supporting each other. This amazing unity gave them a real chance to escape the deadly clutches of this awakened ancient abyss. Having reached the escape capsule, Alex carefully laid Mira into the lodgement and activated the emergency overload protocol of the station's geothermal reactor. This desperate step was the only way to permanently seal the ancient predator at the bottom of the trench, depriving it of the possibility to attack other ships. The capsule separated from the collapsing complex at the exact moment a colossal explosion of thermal energy tore through the ocean depths. The fiery wave incinerated the monster, turning the terrifying coral and its fake biomass into harmless ash, purging the planet of this ancient evil. The stream of purifying heat tossed the capsule upwards, carrying the survivors away from the horror toward the long-awaited light. Inside the cabin, silence reigned, broken only by the steady beep of medical monitors recording the stabilization of the wounded girl's vital signs. Alex sat beside Mira, firmly holding her hand, feeling his soul freeing itself from the pain of the past. He finally understood that genuine love does not require sacrifices for ghosts. It lives in the care of those right next to you. The capsule continued its ascent toward a new life. A few minutes later, the rescue shuttle pierced the ocean surface, bursting into the vast expanse of Oceanus 9. At that exact moment, a beautiful golden sun was beginning to rise over the horizon, flooding everything with warming light. Mira slowly opened her eyes, her breathing became even, and a sincere, warm smile appeared on her lips. Alex, sitting beside her, carefully brushed a lock of hair from her forehead and gently squeezed her palm, silently conveying his gratitude and devotion. They had survived, overcome the nightmare of the abyss, and left all frightening ghosts behind in the burned wreckage. This horrifying chronicle ended not with death, but with a triumph of human kindness, sincere care, and real love, which proved stronger than any ancient predator. A long journey home awaited them, but now they knew they would walk this path together, warming each other with their loving hearts. True happiness was very close, leaving a warm feeling of hope and faith in a bright future in their souls. This new dawn became a symbol of their rebirth, reminding everyone that even in the darkest universe, sincere goodness always defeats any nightmare.